Civilian casualties mount in Yemen, with children among the dead in the latest strikes by the Saudi-led coalition. Plus,
tell me what hypocrisy looks like. Fast tracks what hypocrisy looks like.
unions, activists and politicians block the streets of the American capital in protest against a controversial U.S. Asia trade deal. And an exclusive live for RT International. In less than 10 minutes' time, we start a Q&A session with the International Space Station, posing your questions to the crew. It's midday in Moscow, an exciting hour here on RT International. Saudi Arabia is boosting its military presence at its border with war-torn Yemen as it continues to pound the country, and the number of casualties continues to rise.
Allahu Akbar!
Well, RT went to a hospital in Yemen and met some of those who were caught in the airstrikes. You might find some of the images upsetting.
I have Emmanuel with me right here, who, as you can see, suffered a serious head injury.
I was in front of the house talking to a friend of mine. So all of a sudden, we had this large blast over our head. So before we could know what was happening, we have to run for our life. So at the essence of running, I fell on the road. When I fell on the road, some heavy blocks fell right on my head.
Injured are always the innocent children, and I have here with me young Abdul Razak. I have here with me one of the doctors, Dr. Ayman, who could perhaps just tell us what types of injuries he's receiving at this hospital.
يعني حروق من يعني الذي انفجر، ولحد الذي شفته أنا ما يقارب هكذا 5-6 موتى على طول، يعني كسور في الجمجمة ونزيف ومات.
Abdul Wahab, he's 14 years old. He suffered serious head and back injuries, and the doctor is telling me that these were shells from the missile which penetrated his back, and a rock smashed his head. He is in this hospital suffering along with the rest of those who have been injured in today's attack. Most of these who have been killed are innocent civilians, women, children, who've had their homes demolished, had their homes, the roofs of their homes toppled right on. And the hospitals, they're lacking medical equipment, and hospitals fear that this will actually lead to more people dying. More of those who are injured will perhaps pass away later on tonight because they were not able to seek the proper required medical treatment.
Elsewhere, trade unions, workers and democratic lawmakers have blocked the streets of Washington to protest against the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. The trade deal that would open up Asian markets to U.S. companies is facing opposition inside and outside of the country. RT's Amira David reports.
Tell me what hypocrisy looks like. Fast tracks what hypocrisy looks like.
Opposition against the fast track for the Trans-Pacific Partnership was loud and clear. Hundreds of people representing unions and social justice organizations blocked the streets of Washington, D.C. Now, the TPP is a trade initiative that has been negotiated for quite some time now. The Obama administration has long argued that this partnership would provide the opportunity to open up markets, to increase U.S. exports, and to help support hundreds of thousands of additional jobs. But the people here today don't see it that way. They say this has less to do with trade and more to do with protecting multinational corporations.
I think for me, the thing that sticks out the most is the threat to workers' rights. I follow very closely the plight of and the struggles of workers, for example, in the garment industry in Vietnam, which would be affected by this deal.
It's a way that they can strip away worker rights in our country and basically have cheap labor and not have any environmental control.
It will not bear any scrutiny at all. It's turning over far too much of the power in our nation to multinational corporations.
At this point, lawmakers have agreed to the wording for a bill to fast-track the legislation, thereby speeding up the process. The question now is whether the voices heard today will be powerful enough to slow the initiative down. Reporting in Washington, Amira David, RT.